Welcome back, everyone, to the Nevin Shapiro Show. I'm Mike Tirado. I'm here back with Nevin Shapiro. And today we are going to do a post-portal breakdown. The portal is officially closed for the University of Miami. We now know what our roster looks like going into the 2025 season. So we're going to break down each position from offense and defense and get Nevin's perspective on everything. So before the video starts, please click the subscribe button. We are now sponsored by BTN Connect, backed by Athlete Narrative, the all-in-one platform getting recruits seen, signed, and to the next level. And as always, let's get into the action. We're going to start with the offense. Okay, obviously, Carson Beck's coming in as the projected starter. Hopefully his, process goes how it should. Mario's saying he's soft tossing at this point. Nikel looked like the second backup to Carson Beck from what I saw during the spring game, behind Emory, in my opinion. Just what's your thoughts overall on that whole core?
Well, you know how I feel about soft tossing. I just want to get this out.
Just quick. Get that out,
right.
Yeah.
But anyway, Nikel's not ahead of Emory Williams. I can't see in any way, shape, or form that he would be. Maybe, he should be, because of if he's your future, you want him to be. But, if let's say he were to go down game one, God forbid, to Carson Beck, Emory Williams is going in. All right, so let's be realistic. Emory Williams is number 2. Should he be? Not if you're looking for the future. But if you're looking for a safe haven, I would say Emory Williams would be the next guy in.
He looked like he knew the offense better from a calling standpoint, getting calls, making progression over reads. But Nikel was throwing the ball way better, much more accurate downfield pressure.
To be very candid, it's all moot. It's Carson Beck or nothing.
That's true.
That's it. For $6 million, the number is, it's Carson.
Right.
No one really cares about Emory Williams or Nikel at this point anyway.
Right, yeah.
Right.
So let's get into the running backs. What a core we have coming into this year. I love Fletcher. I love Lyle. I think even Lyle has a chance to start over Fletcher. I just think he's just that explosive, in my opinion. I think, Fletcher could be that bruiser, kind of like a Damian Martinez was last year, because he's that bigger back. And Pringle looked great, and we got the portal edition with Shamar Brown.
Yeah.
I don't see how this running back room is not top 5 in the country, if not top 3.
I don't know if they're top 3 or I don't know if they're top 5. I don't know. They're really good, though. They're solid.
Yeah.
I like it very much. I think I haven't seen the kid Shamar Brown, so I really don't have an opinion on him. I trust what their intel is on him. But yeah, they're solid, man. But you need to have 4 or 5 running backs no matter what. Just look at our grade classes over the course of time. We always had multiple guys. Obviously, what our original Hall of Fame class looked like back when. I don't think if Carson Beck's healthy and these running backs do what expected, I don't think that part of the offense is a concern in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, no, definitely.
None.
So we'll go into the receivers now. So obviously we have the portal additions with C.J. Daniels, Keelan Marion from BYU, and Tony Johnson from Cincinnati. We didn't get to see Marion and Tony Johnson because they were late portal additions after the spring. But what we saw from C.J. Daniels, I didn't see too much of him in the spring. He caught a couple of passes. Really wasn't enough for me to say he's going to be good or not. Kind of like a similar Sam Brown situation, came on late. You never didn't know how he was going to pan out. And then the season came, and Sam Brown was a little bit of a flop, per se, to what he should have been. But we did have a lot of weapons. Joshua Moore was hurt. I didn't get to see him. And then we have, obviously, JoJo Trader. Carr came back for whatever that reason is. And then Ray Joseph and Malachi Tony right now. So what do you think about the overall offensive core for the receivers?
I think it's really, really good. I think their offense in skilled positions is a lot to be excited about. I'm really big on this kid, Josh Moore, just from what I've seen. Obviously, game situations is different.
Yep.
I'm very, very excited to see Ray Joseph or Malachi Tony, or both, hopefully. I think both of them are really serious playmakers, potentially amazing. The word is potential. They have a lot of potential. The whole receiving corps, they're just inexperienced. Josiah Trader, from what I gather, is somewhat injury prone, but that does not to say he's not great when he plays. But you need to be able to depend on him and rely on him. I love their receivers. I think the upside is tremendous.
Yeah.
Tremendous.
They're young, but they're good. They're talented.
Love it.
Yeah, I like it. I have no issues with that receiving core.
I don't think there's anywhere on the offense, Mike, that you can go where I'm going to say, I love it. I love it. Carson Beck's healthy. Their offense is in sync. Is he athletic? I've heard some things. I've heard some things from other coaches, right? But I'm not going to say he's not. Listen, he was a projected first-round pick going into last year. So if that says anything, you don't just forget how to play quarterback. He didn't have a lot of weapons at Georgia. Their receiving core was terrible, I will say. And their offense really wasn't that good. And I don't think he deserves a lot of the blame. It was just one of those seasons. They had a tremendous turnover year prior. Stinson Bennett had been there, and done, won a couple of titles. So everything rides on Carson Beck. I think their offense line, Miami's offense line, is going to be really, really good. I don't think there's any doubt about it. When you showed me yesterday, this is the roster depth. They're obviously going to that side of Magoa and
Inez Cooper. And we'll jump it. We'll just jump right now to the O-line,
Strong.
That right side of the line is insane. I don't even know if they're going to give up a sack. I mean, that's how strong it is with Inez Cooper and Maui Noah on that right side. Yeah. And I really like Markel Bell coming in on that left tackle side, coming in last year from a hurt tackle, coming in and filling that role. He got a lot of game experience, and he's the biggest guy on that offense. This guy was a freak when I saw him in the spring game. I mean, massive. Yeah. Like 6'9",
Brian McKinney looking like.
Yes. Massive.
I don't think you can look at any problems from the offensive side of the ball if I'm being just 1,000% candid. Yes. I don't see any. Carson Beck's injury. That's it. That's it. There's your question mark on the offense. If his wing is good to go, they're good to go.
I would say the only question mark that we're going to have on the offensive line, in my opinion, is the center. You have James Brockmeyer, who's a transfer from TCU, supposedly a great pickup. You never know until the game comes. And then S.J. Afatuli, coming from last year, was okay, nothing crazy, didn't get a lot of time. Those are really your only two centers that you have on scholarship. So that's my only concern, on the offense line. Everything else, Ryan Rodriguez at left guard, I like, and everything else looks good. They just have to stay healthy because the people behind them, God forbid somebody does get hurt, there is a bit of a drop off.
Yeah, well, so I'm gonna put my stock in Alex Mirabal.
Yeah, me too.
And Mario Cristobal being an offensive line coach, and that's always been a focal point for him. And
I love the core.
I'm gonna trust their knowledge in that in that capacity.
So let's wrap up the offense with the tight ends.
Yeah.
So Elijah Lofton is obviously the incoming starter. Impressed me last year. Very big. He was in those packages too, where we were on those goal line packages where he would, block out and, Fletcher would run behind him. He's a really good blocking tight end with, last year having Elijah Arroyo. He is by far. I mean, you have Alex Bauman from Tulane and Jack Nikel from University of Alabama, Birmingham. Those two guys just came in. So Lofton's the guy at tight end.
Well, that's an easy one. He is the guy.
Yep.
I was a big Arroyo fan. I thought that kid was had insane ability. Obviously, the league does too because he got drafted very high. But tight end, probably not our most athletic tight end. In recent years.
Bigger guy, more of a bruiser type of guy. But I like him a lot. I think that he could be really good, and just have to hope for a healthy season for him, because that's where I see the biggest drop-off is tight end. Yeah. If he were to go down, now we have a big drop-off because we lost Riley Williams to the portal, so we only have two scholarship tight ends now behind him. So, but I like the offense.
I don't have any concerns on the offense, Mike.
So we're going to jump right into the defense then. So let's start with the D-line first. We have Akeem Mesidor coming back, which is a fourth or fifth year senior, might even be his fifth year. And then Ruben Bain on the outside as well. I've talked to some former players that are these former players did play on the defensive line, they really feel that they should be inside, playing D tackle. What's your perspective on that?
I don't really have a strong opinion on that. I just think that, Bain had a significant drop-off year. I don't know if it was injury.
Hamstring injury.
Yeah, I mean,
listen,
it happens. So he's got a lot to prove and a lot of money to make if he gets back to his freshman performance. Every mock draft I see, he's a projected top 10 pick, almost top 10 in a lot of them. I don't know if that's the answer. I trust the coaches. Jason Taylor's a Hall of Famer. He knows, right? He should. So I trust what he does and where they got these guys. That's just my gut telling me. I'm not gonna question moves like that. If I think a guy's not really worthy, I'll tell you, like, why is that guy in there? Give someone else a chance.
Right.
But in the case of what side of where he's lined up, I'm not going to go against Jason Taylor's opinion or Damian Lewis's opinion.
True. No, of course. That's why I just heard a couple comments regarding that. I was like, that's an interesting way to put it, because when I looked at them, I mean, they have the size to play inside, definitely. I mean, they're massive. So let's get into the D tackles then. We have Ahmad Moten and Donta Simpson, and then David Blay, which is the transfer from TCU, and with Justin Scott. So I've seen some things where Blay actually might be getting the edge here over Scott, and I know you might have had some comments regarding that.
Yeah, I do. My thoughts on that is, you got a 5-star. You bring in a 5-star rated kid, and you're in your second year, and he's not a guaranteed starter, and that's a concern. Was he not really a 5-star, or have you not developed him yet? 5 stars are very few. Like, look at how many rated 5 stars there are nationally. I don't think there's how many are there? 20, 30? I don't know. Let's just say 25. See how many of them start.
I would say most.
Okay, if not all. So how does a kid in his second year as a 5-star? What's the problem?
And I haven't heard anything injury-wise or anything like that.
What's the problem? That's concerning to me.
No,
I'm just saying.
Agree.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's our coach's fault, but that's concerning to me.
Okay.
But that's why you always get me on this, and I always end up there, personnel and scouting personnel. Is a 5-star really a 5-star? I don't know. I look at a kid like O.J. Frederick, who wasn't highly recruited and is a 3-star, but he's our best DB.
And we know who put Alonzo Highsmith picked that guy out. Let's, and the last thing I'll say about the D-line, I'm not knocking it. I think it's great. I think this is a very talented defensive line. I think it could be a great season.
On paper, yeah.
Yeah, on paper. I think it's amazing.
I agree.
So let's get into the linebackers. Obviously, you've expressed concern over the linebackers on our previous shows. And I will say Mario did a fantastic job of acquiring a couple more linebackers in the portal that are pretty talented from what we've seen. So Popo Aguirre and Wesley Bissainthe are two main guys, middle linebacker and weak side linebackers. So I think Popo is going to be, he could have the breakout year for the linebacker if there's going to be one.
And that's what I hear.
Yeah.
That's what I hear internally, that this kid just needs his reps. Okay. I hope so. I'm with that. Other than that, as a group, I think they've been very impressive, fair or less, I would say. Bissainthe, I think he's had a lot of time to prove he's a difference maker.
I feel like didn't have a great year last year. His freshman year was way more impressive to me, like when he first came in.
Yeah.
And then he kind of dropped off. Could have been an injury. I don't know. We don't have the intel on that. But behind them, Jalen Alderman, I liked him last year. He had some good flashes. Bobby Pruitt. So their depth is not incredible, and there's some drop off if someone were to get hurt.
So I would say this. I like their portal additions. I don't know about the kid from NC State personally.
Kamal Bonner.
I don't know enough. But I will tell you, I do like the kid from Rutgers.
And Mohamed Toure.
And here's my reason why. I like a guy that's coached under Greg Schiano from the defensive side of the ball. Without even seeing him. I just like a guy because if he started and was very dominant, which from what I read, he was at Rutgers in the Big Ten under Greg Schiano, I like that DNA. I like that. I think I'm going to say he's our best linebacker.
Wow.
And I haven't even seen him yet.
I like it. I mean, it's not a bad way to slice it. I mean,
it's my analogy.
Yeah. Depth personnel type of scouting and coaching.
I'm trusting Greg Schiano's knowledge from the defensive side of the ball that we have this kid. And kudos to Mario for grabbing him, whatever deal they made with him.
So real quick, obviously this is a little bit off topic, but Adarius Hayes obviously got into the terrible car accident. And unfortunately 3 people lost their lives, and it's just we want to express our condolences to the families. It's a terrible situation. He was released this morning from what we've heard from the hospital. Nobody has been charged. There's no criminal charges yet. They're still investigating. But overall, just a terrible, terrible thing.
Man, listen, life comes at you fast. And this is sad for the victims, young children. There's nothing positive to say about this other than I pray this kid's not criminally charged when it all shakes out. He's going to have to live with this, and that's bad enough of a punishment.
No records of foul play.
Yeah,
no alcohol.
It's a sad thing,
It's sad,
and as it relates to the team and how it affects you and this and that, you never want to see. Obviously, I was around with Sean Taylor, even though he was already in the league, and Brian Pata, and then soon there, like after I was already gone, JoJo Nicholas lost his life in a car accident. And I knew JoJo pretty well, and it's sad. It hits close to home, and you don't want to see it, man. It's a sad thing. There's other than condolences and prayers, there's nothing more to say.
No, 100%. And we definitely give our condolences to everyone involved. So let's get into the secondary here. So we'll start with the cornerbacks. Xavier Lucas coming in as a transfer from Wisconsin, local kid coming back home, really high upside. And I think he's definitely projecting right now to be the starter.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I like him a lot for one reason. He's from South Florida. I know he's got it. I'm still not happy they lost Zaquan Patterson, but I'm happy that Xavier Lucas is here. He stuck it to the NCAA, made it, and said, you know what? I'm just going to de-enroll.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. And there's going to be, I still think there's going to be some competition there because you just brought in Keontae Scott from the Auburn, Houston transfer. Zach Etheridge was his coach.
Yeah.
Brings him now down to Miami. And you have Damari Brown, who came back, who had a really good spring, kind of just came right back in.
Everyone forgot about him.
Everyone forgot, and he played really, really well.
That's it.
And
it's better when they don't talk about you.
Yep.
That's good. He should have a chip on his shoulder and something to prove.
What do you think about this Keontae Scott kid?
I don't have enough intel personally.
Okay.
I don't really see. I think what's happened, Mike, is because of this portal and the way it's become, with just 18,000 kids it's just stupid, right? I don't like it, but from a fan standpoint, not that it's not beneficial for kids, but there's so many kids and so many moves that how do you keep up with every single guy? And who wants to, unless you got no life, right? I don't have enough intel to give an opinion. I like Xavier Lucas only because he's from here.
No, he looked the best. And then obviously on the other side, you have O.J. Frederick, who's clear-cut going to be the starter. Mm-hmm. And they brought in Ethan O'Connor from Washington State and then Charles Brantley from Michigan State corners. So Mario really loaded up on corners, which rightly so. He needed to. We have a lot of depth in that position now, which is awesome. You just don't know how people are going to pan out. But I do like the depth that we have at corner. Mm-hmm. Here's my biggest, if I had to give you my biggest concern, is safety. We do not have a lot of safeties. Right now we have about 4 safeties on scholarship. Zachariah Poser, which is a transfer, Jacoby Thomas, another transfer, and then Markeith Williams and Dylan Day are the only guys.
Well, let's hope Zachary Poser is not a poser. Right? I don't like that they lost Zaquan Patterson.
Yep.
I keep telling you that. 2 reasons. One main reason, I don't like losing kids from Chaminade or American Heritage or, the mainstays of fermentation.
Right.
Right. And, it's a crapshoot. If you're betting on guys that are high ranked in the portal, who's ranking them? I don't know. The continuity is a big issue, man.
Yep.
And it's a big, big issue. And you just hope everyone can jive and gel. And it's just different than what it was in forever's past where you build unity and camaraderie and everything else. I could tell you this. I look at Ohio State's defense. I see a lot of guys coming back.
They're going to go for a repeat, in my opinion. We'll get into that. But
yeah, I don't know how that goes, but like I just like continuity.
Right. Yeah, no. And then to wrap up the defense, the nickel, we have Charles Brantley and Isaiah Taylor. So I could see some holes potentially there.
I would trust your input before I would trust mine on that.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen him play. You don't know until you see these guys lace up, man.
And, obviously we're only be able to see some of them in the springtime. And, from what I saw, safety, nickel, two biggest concerns for me on defense. Obviously bringing in a new D coordinator. Everybody's going to have to learn a new scheme, right? It's going to be totally different from what Lance Guidry was calling.
You're going to know who you are in September.
And it's just, it's a question mark for sure.
You're going to know who you are early on.
Yep.
And better to find out.
It is. No. Then we got the kicker from Texas, Bert Auburn.
Well, I'm going to tell you the one negative. His last name's not Borregales.
Yeah.
I was hoping there was another one.
So special teams wise, I think getting Keelan Marion, bringing in that punt return specialist is going to be probably the upgrade than having Ray Joseph in there as well. But where I see the biggest downgrade is the kicking team for sure. I mean, it's going to be so hard.
That's not an automatic 3. Those kids. How many field goals? And I'm going to give you this. How many field goals did the Borregales twins or Borregales brothers miss while at Miami?
Man, not a lot.
I'm going to say less than 5.
Probably, I agree.
All right, I'm just saying.
And
those guys are amazing.
I mean, as mediocre as we've been over the last 7 years, excluding last year, but we were automatic from the field goal. They were automatic. And now you bring in Bert Auburn. We've had some mixed comments because Texas fans didn't really like him because he missed a bunch of field goals when he was there and whatever. I don't see how it can match up to Borregales.
Let's hope it don't come down to him.
That's my point. And games are just going to come down to a field goal. That's just football, and you know that.
Well, we've taken Florida State's lunch. They'll eat that history forever.
Yeah, and then we don't need it to turn on us, and we're the ones going wide left.
Yeah.
So now that we broke down the final roster and we've kind of gone through it all, what are your thoughts?
I don't like the way we're going. I just don't, and it's not because, everyone, a coach has his own, and now it's a new landscape, right? So let's be fair. Every coach has the same opportunity to cut guys and add guys. I don't like the model we're using. Let's just go spend money. Will Howard, I sent to you this thing that.
Well, you could talk about it now.
Oh, okay.
I have it here, but we'll talk about it.
So Will Howard made a comment. Someone had asked him. I don't know where the quote came from, but obviously it was an actual quote, and someone behind it. What did Miami say to you when they were recruiting you when you were coming out of Kansas State? He said they were just throwing money at me. I don't think, in my opinion, that is a sustainable tactic to building a great foundation for a college football program. That's just my opinion. I'm into building, and you know what you got, and homegrown, and you go. Now we're just renting. Now we're renting guys, and you're killing South Florida is a very what are the best places to recruit football players in America? California, Texas, Florida, right? Arguably, would you say those 3?
I don't even think it's an argument.
Georgia's got a lot of talent. The state of Alabama's got a lot of talent as well. Louisiana's got a lot of talent. But I would say the 3 most notorious, California Texas,
quarterback, Texas O-line, and South Florida specials, athletic skill set guys.
So you're just going and chasing guys all over. So you're not looking at your backyard. That's what made us the university. That's what made us the U. And I'm not going to blame Mario Cristobal. Let me just say that. I'm going to say this is his theory because he's inherited an NIL. He's the coach now during the NIL landscape. So maybe he thinks this is the way to go. I don't. That's just my opinion. I'd rather build from within and, now we're just renting kids.
Yep.
And I don't like it. I just don't like it.
You know, when I broke down this whole roster this past week and kind of went through it in preparation for this episode, you know, obviously I knew a lot of the guys. But, you know, I was also assessing the transfers and watching their game tape. And I really dove into, like, every kid, watching a lot of their stuff. I don't see how Mario has any more excuses going into this year. This roster is loaded. I mean, from paper, and if you handed this piece of paper to a Urban Meyer, a Kirk Cignetti, a Kirby Smart, they're winning with this roster. There's no way they wouldn't. There's zero excuses at this point. I can't find
Carson Beck
one.
were to get injured, let's just say, and I'm not putting that out there to jinx him, but let's say he would go down. Could Mario say, well, the quarterback got hurt? You cannot put, there's no, like, we're out of excuses.
Yeah.
There's no more let's build a culture. He's built a culture. He's built a culture. It's called NIL. Let's go buy the best.
Yeah.
And when you got an open checkbook, you better get kids. And he's a good recruiter. No one's who said he's not. You know, there's much better talent. But he's, like we've said before, if you look at the records, is there a big difference between him and Manny Diaz? There is, talent-wise. Record-wise, no.
One more win and one more loss.
There's no separation. And this is it. This is just a big year, man. We all want them to. We want them to. You know what we expect. We want them to be undefeated. There's too much talent to ignore. An 8-win season or even a 9-win season, I don't think is great. Right. I think this should be, look, ACC champion, and then they go to the playoffs. So I don't got to say ACC championship and the playoffs, because if they win the ACC, they're in the playoffs.
So now that you've seen the roster, though, has you've came on the show and said 9-3 is your prediction. Has that changed now that you've seen the final roster?
In Las Vegas, the over-under for wins is 8.5, and it's 9 in some other spots within Vegas. So you're seeing what Vegas thinks. They're saying this team's either an 8-win team or a 9-win team. That's what 8.5 means. I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say 9 wins. But Miami fans are very quick to say, oh, look who we brought in. They forget, like, the Georgias and the Texas has, like, 8 5-stars. Okay? Just to keep it its proper measuring barometer. There's teams with a lot of talent out there.
Oh, my God.
Some crazy talent.
I think Ohio State's reloading for part 2.
Let's hope not.
And listen, everyone knows how much I hate Ohio State, and so do you. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
With that acquisition of Matt Patricia at DC and all the guys that they're bringing back on defense, if they could figure out this quarterback situation, which they say that this guy is great.
This guy, Justin,
which they usually
listen. No one knew who C.J. Stroud was, and then he became, the rookie of the year in the NFL at the highest level.
Ohio State always produces quarterbacks. I mean, that's never. So I'm not even that concerned. But if they could just figure that out, they're coming.
We got to worry. We got to worry about our business, and I just personally, Mike, don't like. I don't like buying players for a few months. I just don't like it, man. Buy them for 4 years at least.
They need to start making contracts like the NFL where they can sign them to a 3-year deal or something like that. You know what I mean? Not rent them for a year.
You know my position on NIL, and the guardrails are crazy.
Yeah.
Man. There are none. I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah.
But now Nick Saban's the czar of the NIL.
So I know that you obviously touched on the Will Howard comment, but what is your real comments to how Miami is spending their money? Like how they're just going out there and going about this?
Who's making the call? Who is making the call?
From what we hear, it's Dennis Smith who's making the calls because he's the money guy that's holding, that's making these acquisitions. Not that Mario's not obviously is involved in the process of acquiring the talent, but as far as the dollars,
wouldn't you go get a personnel guy? Doesn't it make sense to get a real GM, someone who does this for a living every day for many years? I'm just saying.
Listen, I get it.
I mean, listen, feast or famine. If they win and they go undefeated, then, you know, these guys are geniuses.
Right.
Right? And they should be promoted to GMs at the next level. But let's see.
Absolutely.
You know where I stand on it.
So we're going to wrap up the show with these final two questions. I know that, number one, you had kind of heard of a conversation about a Division I coach in regards to Carson Beck, and making comments. Mm-hmm. So just can you enlighten everyone on kind of what you heard?
So there's an SEC coach, major school, that I ran into on Friday night, and he said this guy's not athletic enough to play in this guy's system. He's no Cam Ward, and good luck.
Wow.
And this is a defensive-minded coach.
Well, there you have it.
Believe me, don't believe me. You know.
Listen, at this point, if they don't believe you, I don't know what they're doing. So, well, there you have it. And this is how we're going to wrap up our show. I know that, we're done talking about two topics on our show. Cam Ward, first overall pick, and the 2019 LSU team, unless we have a former Hurricane of 2001 on.
That's it. That's the only
way we bring it up.
So, obviously, we have a number of guests lined up. You know that. It's about to take place. We've just been stashing them because, it's not ready. But we'll break them out. I'm not talking about that 2019 team anymore unless one of the former players brings it up and wants to discuss it. There's nothing left to say. I think Napoleon said it all. He's done.
Yeah.
The other topic was?
Well, there's a certain fan base that you now are wanting to talk about.
Oh, yeah. I'm coming after the Alabama fan base. I'm done with Ohio State. I got my ride out. 2019, it wasn't about the fan base. To be clear, it was about the 2019 team, France University. Yeah, I'm coming for the Alabama fan base next. I really just feel like I need to piss in your Wheaties. You're next.
Anything else?
Stay tuned. You know what I do? Comedy.
So there you guys have it. Another episode in the books. Post intel on the roster. Please, guys, click that subscribe button before you leave. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one.